Hey, my friends. So glad everyone's back. I've got Elle Ebizadeh here with me, and she is the owner of Heart to Heart Coaching. And I'll let her explain how she helps her clients. And then we're going to dive into workaholism, having entrepreneurial parents, and all the things. So, Elle, welcome.
Thank you so much, Erin. So I'm I guess, entrepreneur for the past more than 30 years.
Mhm.
Um, I am a relationship coach. I'm certified through Calling in the One and Conscious Uncoupling through Catherine Woodward Thomas, and I'm actually getting another certification as a laser coach uh, in a couple of more weeks. So I say that I help successful entrepreneurs who have been successful in business, but not in their love life, to open their heart and bring love back to their life.
Mhm. So good, which brings us to the topic of workaholism, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs, right? We get so focused on the business side that sometimes I call it business syndrome, that sometimes I don't want to say forget, but we're just choosing to focus on the business over some of the other things that are also important in our life. And so, do you want to share how workaholism has shown up for you and what you have? Like, when did you have that realization, if it was a moment or an evolution of the realization that you were addicted to work? And then how have you been able to let go of that tendency in order to live a more fulfilling life?
Yes, for sure. So when I recognize that, uh, I mean, I still work sometimes 6, 7 days a week, but I put that self-care in between during the week whenever I get a chance, and I make sure that I ask myself and my body, what do I need today? So prior to that, when I sold my last company, which was a electronic waste recycling company, um, I looked at my relationship of 10 years with my life partner. And I said, okay, so let me see. Now that I have more time, I can see that this is not working. It hasn't been working. And I kind of totally ignored it. And there's a couple of reasons why I have ignored it, and couple of reasons why people do that. So my reason was that it was comfortable. I didn't want to be alone. Um, I basically found out that I did anything and everything to keep him in that space, and kind of totally ignored my needs and wants. Wasn't able to communicate my needs. Was a lot of fear involved on my side. So all this stuff, I took a class through Mind Valley with Catherine Woodward Thomas, and I said, "Oh my God, now I understand what has happened, and I understand what I did wrong in this interaction within that 10-year period." Um, so then I really got into it. I really understood that this is my calling, uh, and I took her class and went and I just got certified. And now I see that I'm not in that space. I haven't been alone. There's a lot of people, a lot of my clients that come to me have that. I mean, I give you an example. One client was married for 25, 30 years almost. And she said that she realized, I mean, there's a couple of different reasons why you stay in that relationship. She One of the reasons was that she loved the house that they had together. And it was interesting that she could say it and she saw it and and I said, so what about today? Do you like or love your house that you live in you, today on your own? And she said, yeah, I love it. But it was that space of at that time. So that's her 2%, part of that 2% of her that she really only kind of concentrated on the house, not in that. connection
Yeah.
with the partner.
Yeah. I think that it can be it's easy. It can be easy, right? If we're really focused on, because I think a lot of us are wired in that same way, right? Like we want to be air quotes successful in business.
Mhm.
And it's just like anything where you put your time and your energy and your effort, right? It grows. And, you know, having a spouse, and sometimes if they aren't an entrepreneur, right, then sometimes there is that, sometimes there's not that, can be,
Connect.
right, that connection, right? And so finding ways that we can connect with our partner and spouse that's outside of business. And I think that, tell me, what your thoughts are on this, but it's like you said, it's like we stay because it's comfortable, because it almost takes too much effort to you know either leave or to just dive into the questions, like to have that willingness. I think a lot of us, maybe in the beginning, we aren't willing to have those hard conversations and to ask ourselves, like, is this what we want? Like, I think with societal conditioning, and like you get married and you're supposed to stay married and all of these things that we've been brought up with, right? Versus, I always tell my husband this and he laughs at me, but I'm like, every day I ask myself, like, do I want to continue to stay married to you? And he laughs and I'm like, but it's a choice, right? Like every single day I'm choosing you versus, well, we made this decision 15 years ago and we're going to continue to just do it because that's what we've always done.
Exactly. Exactly. It's just, I tell my clients that I'm going to give them artwork. It's kind of a homework that they have to do.
Yeah.
And it's just a self-discovery.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, including myself, that I in the past, that uh, I didn't know what my needs are. What do I want in a relationship? What are feelings? Do I want to invite the feelings and, like, make peace with the feelings? And it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be sad, and just stay with it. I tell my clients, are you sad? Let's just do an exercise together.
Yeah.
Where is that sadness in your body?
Yeah.
And where do you want it to go? I mean, this is just like a step by step to really discover who you are
Yeah.
and where you want to go. And it's just amazing. After like 20 minutes of discovery with my clients, the face, it changes just because they feel that they have been heard,
Yeah.
that the feelings have been kind of, nurtured
Yeah.
in that 15-20 minutes.
Yeah. Because I think, and you tell me your experience with this as well. It's like, because I think as entrepreneurs, most of us don't give ourselves the opportunity to slow down and to really connect with ourselves. Like we're constantly, we've been brought up in a society, at least in the Western one, right? Where it's just like go, go, go. And like success equals like busy, full calendar. And like there's
Yeah,
no room to check in with ourselves and our bodies to be like, how am I actually feeling today? What am I feeling in my body? What does my body need in this moment? Right? It's like
ex-
every single second is spoken for.
yes, yes. So one of the exercises I give, and I have it on my phone too. I tell my clients, so put alarms every hour, every 2 hours. Just check in with yourself. Do you need to get up and go just walk around, go to the door, come back? I mean, a lot of people work from home now. How
Yeah.
do you want to go up the street just to kind of breathe and come back and start? Do you want to, I mean, ask yourself a question. All the answers, Erin, is within us.
Always.
And it is interesting that we don't allow it to come out.
Yeah. Because there is no space, right? In order for it to come out,
Yeah.
we have to be quiet. We have to be still. We have to be present, right? With ourselves and our bodies. And
Yes.
we don't give ourselves that. Do you find that it's almost like a love affair that they have with their business over maybe their connection with their spouse?
Um,
And I use that term loosely, but like,
yeah. Yeah. It's part of control.
Mm.
I could see myself like, 20 years ago that I was in control of my business. And actually that helped me move on because hardly, I mean, I had 20 people working for me, but at the same time, uh, my door or my office was like a revolving door. They would come in because they had to ask questions, so which was okay. But then I realized at some point that I'm not giving them the the I guess the confidence that it's okay, make that decision. You don't need to come to my office to ask me that question. So it's part of us controlling the whole wanting to control. That's the part.
You say control, but what I hear, and because this used to be me so much, is need. Wanting to be needed, right? Like, and I know it's just
Exactly.
semantics, but
Exactly.
like we control because we want that need. We want to be needed. We want to, like, if we're the cog in the wheel, then we feel like, oh, like, oh, it can't operate without me. And oh, they have to call me and I can't go on vacation because like
Exactly.
that need that we haven't really nurtured within ourselves. We're trying to get it from our employees or our staff or our business partners because we have set it up so much, like you say, the control, so that then they have to come to us, right? Because we haven't necessarily empowered them to be like, make the choice, make the mistake, we'll figure it out, like that's how we learn, right? And so
Mhm.
we control so that they need us.
That's
And
it.
then that fills that internal inner child, right? That hasn't been met yet.
Exactly. So it all goes back to that interaction with the
Yeah.
parents or the caregivers that you didn't feel uh, nurtured. So you wanted to be needed. So I worked with a lot of clients about their childhood.
Hmm.
And we look at that, the patterns that happens mostly in our relationship, in work relationship, love relationship. It's all kind of patterns that it happened when we were that young person in that interaction with our caregivers or parents that has shaped us. So
Yeah.
yes, that's the key to understand that we want to be needed. So why is that? So let's look back and see what is our pattern. Did we feel that we were needed uh, in the past?
Yeah.
And it just then you can look at all the relationship that have that there's so many kind of similarities that you can just like, and it's like, oh my God, I didn't know that I was in that space with all my relationships.
Yeah, because I mean, like how we do one thing is how we do everything, right? Like we show up to our business the way we show up to our parenting, the way we show up to our spouse, the
Exactly.
way we show it to ourselves, right? And so if you see it in one area, you can probably find it if you're aware in all the other areas until you transform it, transcend it. I'm
Exactly.
curious because you and I talked about you had an entrepreneurial parent, I've had an entrepreneurial parent, and I'm curious with your clients as well if they've had entrepreneurial parents and what was your experience like? Like, did you, because I believe like we learn, right, from
Yeah.
our parents and society, right? But mainly with the entrepreneurial part, our parents. So did you learn and get your patterns of like always, I call it always on, always connected. Like I was always connected to my phone. Employees were calling all of the time, like that. Here we go back to that need, right? Because that's exactly what my dad showed me what it was like. And so I'm curious for you if that was the same for you and your parents, and then also if your clients
Yeah.
experience the same thing.
Yes. So exactly. I mean, my dad was an entrepreneur. So he built apartment buildings. I mean, he did so many different things. And I'm the oldest child, so I was always with him.
Yeah.
And at some point, like summer times, one morning he wakes me up at 7 and said, uh, it's time to get up. And I said, it's summer. I don't have any classes. And then he says, what? It doesn't matter if you have class or you're not. You need to get up, go play basketball, read a book. have to do something. So it was that upbringing from my side, and that made it that I have to do something every hour of the day to be successful, or to be understand that I'm in a good place.
Yeah.
And yes, I do see it at my clients when they come and talk to me, and we go through the need part and understanding of that interaction in their childhood. Yeah, it's all step by step to understand where all these are coming from.
Yeah. I mean, I wrote down being, right? Being wasn't okay as a child, right? Like
Yes,
we all had to be human doings. I always say we're actually human beings, right? Not human doings, but we've been brought up to be human doings, right? You have to be earning your love. You have to be earning the affection. You have to be earning, the place in the family per se, right?
yeah,
Because it's like it wasn't okay, it wasn't safe to just be, like you're saying, to just rest, to just be, which I think is why it's in the beginning can be so difficult for us to come back home to ourselves, to sit with ourselves, because it's such an unpracticed um, thing that we do with ourselves, and so it doesn't feel safe, it doesn't feel okay in our bodies to just sit and be present.
yes, yes. So I started meditation, and I realized this is many years ago that I cannot just sit and meditate. So I said, I figured out that there is also walking meditation.
Mhm.
So I, my body is kind of tuned to be a walking meditation. So I do my meditations when I walk in the mornings for an hour. So it just how you were, yes, that's what how I was brought up. But then I made a shift in that because I wanted to meditate, but I couldn't sit down. It doesn't you there is ways that you can get to the space that you want to get by just practicing, by understanding that there is always a way, there's always a solution.
Yes, and um, I think a lot of people think, okay, meditation is the only way that I can be present, right? Or I can be still. And like you're saying, like walking meditation, like I have a theory in terms of, we didn't really talk about human design, but like with human design and our undefined roots, like that pressure of sitting feels right, because I'm the same way with you. I love to walk and meditate and to think, and like moving my body is a form. And really what meditation is to me is like flow, right? Like it
Yes,
is a,
okay.
it is a connection to ourselves. Like I read this book called I'll put it in the show notes, but the title is called Superman, and it's about these elite athletes. Like I think they interview like Laird Hamilton as a surfer, and they interview some other basketball players, and what they talk about is the same thing, like the meditation, and all of them say it is when I get into my state of flow, right? When I am completely present in myself, in my body, um, is that feeling and is that state. And I think a lot of us are hesitant to sit down and meditate, and I love that you said that, right? Like there's so many ways that we can connect to ourselves and be present with ourselves than just sitting down and like closing our eyes and doing the
Yeah.
meditation, and so playing with that and seeing what feels good for each of you. And like here we go back to like only you know your body, right? You checking in with your body and like, does this feel like, am I actually benefiting from this? Because if you're sitting down to meditate and you can't even like get comfortable and still long enough, like that's not the point of meditation, right? So like what are some other ways that you can nurture and nourish your body and connect to yourself besides just sitting down cross-legged and all of the things?
Yes. So there are different ways. Exactly.
Yeah. So, you mentioned about having to, because that's exactly what I had to do. I had to start and put a timer on my phone and check in with my body. Like, what am I feeling? And I would love to hear kind of your beliefs or ideas on why do you think a lot of us aren't connected with our bodies?
It's because of what how we were brought up.
Yeah.
Because we are always in our head,
Yep.
um, and not in our body. A lot
Mhm.
of a lot of times that talk to people, I see that they're like from here to up here. There's nothing. It's like being a robot. I actually did write it on my website that I used to be a robot because it was from here to up, and it wasn't from. I didn't even like look at my hands or like feel my legs, or I mean, just for a few minutes a day, just to kind of, okay, I'm here. This is my body.
Mhm.
So that's the exercise also. A lot of interactions on a love relationship, when people get into, the reason I'm telling you this because you asked me about the body.
Yeah.
They get into interaction and it becomes an argument. So, and it's because it's all about in their head.
Yeah.
So I was talking to a client of mine and I said, next time I invite you to explore this way of interacting with your partner. When it starts to, when he asks you a question or she asks you a question, and you really think about it, do you, at this moment, are you in a space to be able to interact and go to that space that he wants to go or she wants to go?
Yeah.
And you have the ability to say, you know what, give me a few minutes. I'll be right back. So you can go, I don't know, to another room, go to the kitchen, go to your car, and just sit down and ask yourself, do I want to have this conversation right now? Do I want to kind of really explore and see the options, or what I want to talk about, or what do I want to say if this and this and this comes up? And then you can go back and say, yes, let's talk about it. Or we can talk about this subject, I don't know, in an hour, tomorrow, when we are both free, or I am in that space that I would like to have this discussion. Because then you go to your body and you figure this out. Because how does it make you feel? When you have an argument, it's from here to in your head. But if you go to your body and really understand and be as calm, and invite yourself to be calm and have that conversation with no judgment toward the other person or toward yourself, and understand that these are the topics and these are my needs, that these are the stuff that I want to talk about, then it becomes natural because you give yourself that space and the permission to explore. What do you want to say? What do you want to talk about? Is this a subject that you're comfortable with?
Yeah. I'm sure you've heard the term like flipping our lid, right? Like when our prefrontal cortex goes offline and we're in that heightened state, right? I know we've been brought up like stay with it and have the conversation. But when we're in that heightened state, like we literally can't think rationally, right? And so I love what you said of like, no, asking yourself, asking your body, like, do I actually want to do this right now? And like, I think part of it too is like feeling that frustration or that anger that we're feeling with our partners in that moment, right? Like, if that means, hey, I need to go walk by myself, I need to go get in the room by myself, I need to go for a drive by myself, and feeling those feelings and letting them come up, versus so many times we try to have a conversation, and air quotes, calm conversation with our spouse when we are feeling such these heightened emotions, and there's that conflict there, right? Versus feeling and expressing our emotions, not repressing them, and then coming back online and being like, okay, I'm ready to actually talk about this in a calm way because I've been able to feel and express my
Yeah,
feelings.
because if you understand your triggers, and if
Yes.
that person says a sentence or just one word and it triggers you, and you go to the past of this other interaction as a child or teenager, whatever it was, and then the interaction you have with that person right now, it's not based on what he's saying and what you're going to say. It's that interaction is based off the
The
past.
program, the program. Yep. And, the triggers, I think when you get to see the triggers are like are your highlighter or your flashlight to look at like, okay, what needs to be worked through, you right? Because it's only a trigger because you haven't really, you know, taken I guess taken the time or like, worked through what it is that's bothering you so much. Someone said to me the other day, well, they basically were saying, like because of XYZ person, this is the reason why I'm acting that way. I'm like, no, 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 no. The only reason why you're acting that way is because you haven't, right? You haven't worked through and dealt with the thing that continues and it will continue to come up until you work
Yeah,
through it, right? Like it's going to show up, whether it's in your business with an employee or it's going to show up in your spouse or your children, it's going to keep coming up until you work
pay
through it.
attention to it. Yes.
Yes. Yes. So it's like the gentle nudge to be like, hey, this is something we need to work through. I love what you said because I always talk about like us being in like a little box. You said robot, but like, I always say like getting out of our heads and into our bodies. And I
Yeah,
believe that we did that. We went to our brains, and I know our brain is part of, or our mind is part of our body, but like we got out of our body lower from the neck down, right? Because it wasn't safe, right? Like at some point in time, our parents were like, stop crying. We don't have, like there wasn't, I always say, like for me growing up, it was like, it felt like there wasn't really room for emotions. Like there were other things we needed to do and take care of. And
exactly.
so, for all of us entrepreneurs, like tending to that sweet, tender child within us that didn't get that opportunity to feel safe, to feel what we needed to feel in that moment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So at the base of this, right? Like you have clients that come to you. They're coming because they want to have either improve their relationship or maybe they want to evaluate and maybe leave their relationship. But do you believe that really at the base of all of this is really like the lovability and the deservedness and the worthiness that we feel within ourselves? Like that's really what we're working on. Like the symptom is the
Yeah.
relationship, right? But really what it is all of our lovability and deservedness and worthiness.
Yes. So unfortunately or fortunately, people don't explore what they want in a relationship before they really get to that relationship.
Yeah.
So yes, I do have clients that they're exploring after 20 years of marriage to see if they want to stay together or not. That's the process of conscious uncoupling. Um, and we work with them. I work with them because of mostly the kids are involved, so they want to do it consciously
Yeah.
and have that understanding the both side that the kids are involved.
Yeah.
I had clients that have been divorced for many years and they like to call in the one, but that they're still in that past interaction with the ex,
Mm.
uh, which hasn't been cleared up in their head or in their body. And we work on that they can open. That's why I said I help them open their heart and
Yeah.
bring love back to their life because
Yeah.
I close our hearts because of the fear, the hurt, anything that has happened in the past.
Yeah.
I actually worked with younger in their 20s, uh, and those are the best. I love working with that group of people because it's their experiences are not. I mean, they have boyfriends and girlfriends and all that, but it's easier to explore what they want at that time and clean up or look at the past as when they were in the interaction between the caregivers and them, and then after that, then now what do you want, what do you need in a relationship, let's look at yourself and see. um so there's all different kind of interactions. There's one or two interesting was that calling in the one, and I had a lady who wanted to bring her business partner to her life, because any business partners that she had in the past, it didn't work out. So we went through the Calling in the One program with her, and um, she was surprised because her interaction with her sister has kind of blocked her to bring that business partner that she wanted to bring in. And because she was married very happily, but then that part didn't. So she wrote a testimony for me, and they said, "Oh, I was surprised at what it came up for me, because we are very unconscious. We put everything kind of in the back of our mind. But then this process is very easy and it's very, yes, you have to work on it, but you have to be truthful to yourself. The commitment. I ask my clients before we work together, are you committed to really go deep and be truthful to yourself to this session? I'm here to be of service and
Yeah.
be truthful and be straightforward with you. And is that understandable? And they agree on that, and then we go on. Because sometimes they go from here to there and it just kind of goes around and around, and I help them come back, because there's a lot of sometimes fear.
For sure. It's like the willingness. I always say, do you have the willingness and the courage? And also accepting responsibility, right? Like we co-create together. We all play a role. We all got into this either relationship or business partnership or whatever we're in, right? Together. So the blaming and it's disempowering, right? Versus where's my ownership, responsibility in this? And it doesn't mean we have to beat ourselves up. It doesn't mean we have to, speak negatively to ourselves. And also, like, we also have a responsibility in every relationship that we're in. And like you say, being willing, right? Being willing, because it's not always, I think it's simple. The process is simple, right? But the actual emotion of it, the work of it is not always easy, because you're uncovering things, like you say, that have been in the subconscious mind and the feelings that we have repressed for so long. And so, yeah.
Yeah, it's a process, and everybody is at different
Levels.
levels.
Yep.
And I part of it, the self-love is very important. I
Yep.
give my clients an exercise, a mirror exercise, to every morning when they get up and look in the mirror, tell themselves that I love you.
Yeah.
A bunch of them could not do it
I was going to
for
say, can't do it in the beginning, right? Because
a
we
couple of
haven't.
weeks. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because some of them have a lot of guilt, a lot of shame in that space, and then we work through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like anything. Like, I think, with all of the people that I've talked to or that I've helped, like it's not this like secret, right? It's just practice. It's just, we have been so practiced at not looking in the mirror, not staring at ourselves, not telling us ourselves that we love ourselves, right? Not being loving and compassionate. And so it's a switch, and it just takes some time. It's just like I always say, it's like the gym. Like, you don't decide you're going to go work out today and then go deadlift 150 pounds. It's like you start with like, what is actually a deadlift, right? Like, maybe I need to do some research. And so it's the same thing with this. And I think sometimes, tell me if you're experienced, but like I think entrepreneurs are like really hard on ourselves, because that's kind of been our path to get where we wanted to go, right? And there's a softer, more loving, compassionate way
Yes. I
along the
mean,
path.
I still to this day, I look in the mirror and tell myself that I love myself, that it's
Mhm.
okay. If you don't want to do this today,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah.
Let's look at it tomorrow, or
Yeah.
anything that comes up that it's a little bit outside of the comfort zone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for example, I'll give you this interesting example. 6 months ago, I would say I would never be on Instagram or on a video. There is no way I'm going to do videos. I don't know how to do it. I don't know what to say. It was like, no.
Yeah.
But circumstances and different things and happened that one of my colleagues asked me if we can do like uh, talk about relationship steps
Mhm.
together, and he was really on TikTok, on all that platform. I said, I have never done this before. She said, oh, don't worry, it's easy. I said, okay. So I was uncomfortable, but I did it.
Mhm.
And so we did like 20 episodes on my YouTube, on his YouTube. And today I'm all over Instagram. And I do enjoy putting those shorts together,
Videos up. Mhm.
videos together, and put it online. Uh, it's just a step forward to
Yes.
see where do you want to go. So I work also with clients on my laser coaching. Where you are, that's that point A, and where do you want to go? What's the point B?
Yeah.
And we work on that, the line that has been not working for them, or it's
Yeah.
just kind of, there is some hesitations, procrastination, or overwhelm or fear in that. And then we do that in like half an hour session, and they actually come up with the ways that they want to get to that
Yeah.
B location.
Yeah. You have anything else you want to say?
Um, I do wanted to invite the listeners. I have a ebook
Mhm.
that I like to complimentary one. It's
Yeah.
basically, if you're in a space that you want to bring love back to your life. It's a 10-page. It's very easy ebook and workbook. So it just kind of takes you to a space of really exploring what your needs are in a relationship, asking, answering those questions. Be happy to give that as a complimentary ebook to everybody who's listening. Also, if you have any questions about how your relationship is, where you want to go, and I would also offer a complimentary 30-minute discovery call
Okay.
that we can talk and see where you want to go.
I'll put all of the information in the show notes and then also on the YouTube channel. Does that sound good?
Very good. Thank you so
Okay.
much, Erin, for
Thank
your
you,
time.
Elle. Okay.
Thank
Until next time.